Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now, to me, points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our warmongering politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support.
Tulsi Gabbard was a guest on Real Time with Bill Maher, along with Chris Matthews. And in Bill Maher's overtime section of the show, Bill Maher asked Tulsi Gabbard what she thought about the draft in the United States. And she had a really interesting answer, Tulsi Gabbard did. And she and Bill Maher definitely did not agree with this. So we're going to break this down. We're going to show the clip. If you want to see the entire clip from Bill Maher's real-time overtime segment of the show, I'm going to link to that in the description. But let's take a look at what Bill Maher's question was and how Tulsi Gabbard responded to that. And I'll chime in with my own thoughts here and there.
We're here with Chris Matthews and Tulsi Gabbard, and the first question is to you. Tulsi, should women be required to register for the military draft? I saw this. This is so interesting. The Democrats, so great at politics. I don't know why they brought it up now. I mean, men, I almost forgot this. Men do still have to register for the draft. Nobody gets...
Well, this is actually something that they also just changed in the legislation through the National Defense Authorization Act. Just a few weeks ago, is now men don't have to register because they're automatically registering them as soon as they turn 18.
Okay.
So you don't have to actually, you don't get to fill out a card or anything anymore.
But I remember I was about to be registered when I just turned 17 in 1973 when they were still drafting for Vietnam, and it was like, that was the year. It was like, oh, we're not, oh, it's like, oh boy, did I luck out on that one. But they still registered you. Now the Democrats in an election year have brought this up for I don't know what reason, saying now we want women to register because there's 250,000 women in the military right now. And if something was so catastrophic that we did have to draft people, why shouldn't women go? But why bring it up in an election year are my two questions.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now, to me, points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our warmongering politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support.
Okay, I'm going to stop here for just a second. No matter what you think of Tulsi Gabbard, and I have my issues with her, I feel like the majority of Americans would agree with her here that they don't want to continue with these never-ending wars that our politicians want to get involved in. And so why should we have a draft to send our young people to go and fight in these wars that the vast majority of Americans don't want, these wars in the Middle East and other places? So I think Tulsi Gabbard is completely right about that.
When you look at what happened after
they didn't start the wars.
Well, when you look at what happened, you look at what happened after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Thousands and thousands of people from all across the country set aside their lives and volunteered because they wanted to go and fight for freedom and security and for peace. And you look at what happened after the attack on 9/11. So many Americans like myself, we enlisted to be able to ensure the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. And so when you look, to me, it's a big red flag that they're bringing this up right now, first of all, as we have multiple wars burgeoning around the world. But as a I've been deployed 3 times to different war zones. I don't want to be in a foxhole next to somebody who doesn't want to be there, first of all. That bond and that trust that exists between servicemen and women who are, when bullets are flying is so essential. You don't want to have somebody next to you who's like, hey, I don't want to be here. I don't want any part of this. Sometimes
it's just numbers.
Problem.
Come on. Sometimes
it's
just
you're talking about life and death. You're talking about life and death.
I know, but exactly. And if we need that numbers of troops, there just aren't. The people in Gen Z, they're not going to volunteer. I've seen videos of them talking about it. I'm like, no, you're right.
So I think it's funny that Bill Maher points out that, oh, thank God he got out of Vietnam. But Bill Maher's attacking Gen Z, saying they're not going to go and fight. This is really hypocritical on Bill Maher's part.
Generation can't do it. The number of people you're going to have is just going to be, it's going to be a smaller force. I mean, compared to, I mean, how many, there's over 1 billion Chinese people if the war breaks out with them. I mean, I don't want to get cataclysmic about
these wars don't just happen out of thin air. I think that's my point.
No, but we didn't start them. We didn't invade Ukraine, and we didn't attack Israel. That's a silly thing to say.
I think the Iraq War was coming right out of the Dick Cheney's office.
That's true.
Oh, but that war.
That's true.
Yeah, that
okay,
one.
well, that's not Biden.
Well, that's 200,000 dead people over there, and 4,000 of our people, and that was created by the neocons and Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
They did it. They did it.
And the same people are continuing with, it's the neocons as well, continuing with all these wars that we're involved in today. So Chris Matthews is right about this, and Tulsi Gabbard is right. We shouldn't have a draft. People will sign up if there's a legitimate reason to go and fight, but we haven't had a legitimate reason to fight for a long time. So again, I think Tulsi Gabbard is completely right. We don't need a draft. Bill Maher is correct that it's really dumb politically of the Democrats to be bringing up this idea of having women automatically be registered for selective service, because that's a political loser. Why do this during an election year? But I think Bill Maher is wrong about the idea of a draft, and Tulsi Gabbard is correct. People do not want to have their kids go and die in wars that do not benefit the United States in terms of keeping us safe. But what do you think? Do you agree with Tulsi Gabbard here? Do you agree with Bill Maher? But give me a comment to let me know how you feel about who you thought was correct here, whether it was Tulsi Gabbard or Bill Maher, and make sure to give me a like and subscribe, because that, if you enjoy this content, that helps me to grow this channel and be able to make more videos like this. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.